welcome to Rusty Media. And today we have a special guest. His name is Vishesh. Hello, Vishesh. How are you?
I'm doing well. This is my first time meeting another person also named Vishesh.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty weird seeing talking to somebody and referring to them as Vishesh because I've always been like, I'm the only Vishesh. Who are you?
so you know the meaning of your name, like Vishesh, but you know the meaning of your name,
I
like
believe
in
it means special, right?
yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, that's good. So like I was really amazed, like you are living in California. Yeah, Burbank is in California, one of the city in California. So
yeah,
like your friends, maybe like they would be in for them it would be like, yeah, unique for them because they
yeah,
generally don't use Hindi names or Sanskrit names. Yeah.
yeah.
So Vishesh is from California, and I got one of my friend like Tane Gagrani. I have been working with him on his two songs. Like I have completed one song with him, Recluse. Like it will be going to release in like it is taking like 15-20 days, and now I'm also working with him on second song. So he gave me a contact that this person is his best. Is in like he is a visual art designer. He is also involved in music production, also sound engineering. And you have also told me that you are working on film sets, like as an audio technician and stuff. So it's great, like you are involved in so many fields. It's really great. So it will be helpful. Like I was thinking that in India, particularly India, I don't know how long have you been in India, or you have stayed in India for some time. Like, are you born in California and then when came to India for a few days or something, or for a vacation or something? Have you?
yeah. So I was born in New York,
Yeah.
but my parents are from Mumbai.
Mhm.
And I have family in Mumbai, and I have family in the neighboring areas around Mumbai. So I've been to Mumbai quite a few times. I've spent my summer vacations there. I spent my second grade in boarding school in India.
Okay.
So it's been about 10 years since I've been back in India. But when I was younger, I had been
Mhm.
there.
Okay, okay, so great. So, first of all, like, are you comfortable with my conversation skills, like my accent? Are you
Yeah.
comfortable in? Okay, so
Oh yeah.
great. That's great. That's great. So,
Here's the funny thing.
yeah.
I've met people here who are like third generation Indian American, and they
Mm-hmm.
have a thicker Indian accent than you do, but they have never been in India.
Oh,
Whereas
okay.
I have a very like subtle Indian accent, but I've been in India more times than they have. So it's always like, the accent means very little in comparison to like the cultural experiences.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, when I was uh, doing podcast with Tane, and he has some friends in like I don't know if he was telling like some of his friends from Europe, and they were saying that we were not able to understand some things we were
Wow.
asking. So it was quite strange. Yeah. So
Huh.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So like let's start. Like how I'm going to start. It's very difficult for me because as in like you have so many fields, and I think particularly like in India, because I have some friends like I have right now I'm also in job also, like I'm a mechanical engineer, and
Mm.
I'm working as an engineer R&D, particularly manufacturing field, and also I'm trying to like pursue this music production as well as this platform, just trying to create this platform for independent artists. So as you know, in India it's a very like every child who is born in India, he is being like particularly told or being forced like there are two fields. First is engineering, second is medical line,
Medical.
and
Yeah.
even like artistic fields are there. Like generally, if you think like in Bengal side, in particularly West Bengal in South India, like their parents are more inclined towards arts, and their parents like pressurized and even inspire their children to pursue in particular like dance or music, anything in any way. So but the mainstream society in India is like just more focused on only these two fields like engineering and but uh, as I don't, because you are from New York, it's what's your how was your experience, because what's your even tell me your educational background and how you just move towards your all these fields.
Of course. So my parents moved from Mumbai to New York, and then we stayed in New York in the northeast of United States. So I was in New Hampshire for a little bit. I visited Boston before, and once my parents made enough money, they moved down to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to like uh, you know buy a house in Florida and stay in Florida. Florida is in the southeast,
Mm-hmm.
and at that by that point in time, I was in, like, I guess you could call it fourth standard. Here it's fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was time for me to start figuring out what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and my parents were a little bit more open to other careers than some of the other Indian parents I'd met. So
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want me to just go with just engineering or just doctor.
Okay.
And so I decided I wanted to go into acting. It
Okay.
didn't work out because I'm not that good of an actor. But then um, I decided I wanted to go into film instead. And I always liked music, but it was kind of just in the back of my head. I didn't pursue it.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a film school for university, and then after graduating out of film school, I moved out here to California because California is where all the film work is done.
Yeah.
There is actually a lot of music work done here as well.
Mm-hmm.
And during this pandemic, I've just been stuck at home because I can't really work as much. So I decided, maybe I should pick up music again. It's been a long time. And so this past year and a half, I've just been making music nonstop, experimenting with sound design, learning new things, all that. And that's where I'm at now.
So currently, are you studying also, and you are just doing all these things as an like side by side doing these things also?
No, no. So I finished my time in university, and now I'm working. I've started working part time now because the pandemic has slowed down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I do a bunch of different things. I work in live events.
Mm-hmm.
So, like music concerts, sometimes conferences or like large conventions.
Mm-hmm.
So have you heard of Call of Duty,
Yeah.
the video
Yeah.
game?
Yeah.
So they had their esports championship match recently,
Okay.
and I set up the event for the esports championship. So I was doing that as like an audio visual technician. That means I'm working on like the speakers and I'm working on the lights and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm not doing that, I'm working on film sets as a grip, which means I'm setting up lighting for film sets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a visual effects artist. So, sometimes I might do like visual effects for short films and music videos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not doing all of those things, then I'm making music.
Yeah, that's great, buddy. That's
Yeah.
great. So, recently I have a podcast with a filmmaker. His name is Abhishek Bhardwaj, and he's been like, he has an experience like more than 15 years experience. So,
Wow.
he was telling me like, what they as because you are in film line, so let me just focus this towards there and just
Sure, yeah.
dig out some of your experience. So he was telling me that what happens in Bollywood, like he was in Zima, Z Institute of Media and Arts. Z Institute,
Yeah, yeah.
Z channel, Z
Like
TV.
Z Cinema. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have an institute, and at there he was like learning directorship and filmmaking. And so what they usually do, like it's in Bollywood, even in Indian media, it's not like that you go and there are some opportunities and you just go there and they will take an interview and yes, you are hired. It's not there. It's not like that. And so he was telling me that for like more than 2 to 3 years, he was just working in some as an assistant, and he was not being paid, and he was struggling there, and he said that it's if you want to become a filmmaker in like particularly in India, this is the only way you have to start, because you want to show that I know something, I have some skills, I have some talent. So like you have to sometimes you have to like work without any pay.
Yeah.
So the question is like, is this the same type of situation is there in like in USA? And do you have felt the same type of situation around you?
Yes, the in entertainment in general, the
Mm-hmm.
situation is like this. So it's like this in music as well, and it's not even about whether or not you know how to do the thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of, do you know somebody who needs a person that can do what you're qualified to do. So if you don't know the people, then you just won't get hired to do work that you'll get paid for. So then you end up looking around online like, oh, who's looking for somebody? And the people looking around online are always looking for somebody that will work for free or work for very little money. And so the most important thing is to know people and then have a network of other creative people so that you
Okay.
can rely on them. And then if you have work that you can't accept, then you can give it out to your friends. You have your friend circle. And so like I've been fortunate not to do much unpaid work. In music I've done unpaid work, but in film I haven't, because I went to film school. So I have all
Mm-hmm.
these friends who also do film work, and some of them have done unpaid work, but generally like if they're in a position where, oh, I'm already working on this day so I can't do it, then they'll
Mm-hmm.
message me and be like, are you free tomorrow? I actually just picked up a job on Monday
Okay.
that I'm going to do a music video for. So I'm going to be working on a music video because my friend is too busy, so he can't do it, and that's how you get by.
Okay. So, I don't know, like if somebody, if you got some, like it's in there, I think it's some is something like a freelance, like you actually you are working for them, but it's like you have an option, like yeah, I will work, I'm free, so I will work at that time, or so it's like that more. It's not like a particular like a job or something, but it's like more of a business, like you are working as a business and you are the owner of the business. It's something like
Yeah,
that there. Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
It's
So
freelance work.
mhm,
Once you get big enough, you can. In America, it's called sole proprietorship, which means
okay.
that you are your own company.
Mhm,
And like if you get big enough, people will start like buying their own equipment. So I know like gaffers. A gaffer is somebody that does lighting. It's similar to the work that I do. I've met many gaffers that have their own truck, and they bought their own truck, they bought their own lighting equipment, and they get hired as a gaffer, and they also charge extra for their truck. And
mhm.
so that's their entire business. That's what they do, and they'll hire other people to help them do their lighting work for short films or documentaries or whatever. And so then they're like a bigger business. So that's the tiers. That's how you scale up.
Okay. So yeah, okay. So like you have been in films, like you are also involved in VFX. So like tell me about something, like VFX is such a fascinating thing for all of us. Like Marvel, DC, and so many films are there out. So tell me about your works and just share us our experience if you want to really tell us.
So I can't talk about what I've worked on because I've signed paperwork that says that I can't share what I've worked on.
Oh,
Yeah,
you are like
yeah.
an FBI agent. You cannot reveal your identity.
It's kind of like that. It's called an NDA. So like the music video I'm going to work on, I can't tell you what the music video is or who the artist is because I just signed an NDA.
Mhm.
Basically, I can't share anything about it. When I go to the film set, I can't take any pictures or videos. They might take my phone away. We'll see. So yeah, with the visual effects things that I've worked on, I can't actually share any of what I've done because they're for bigger projects.
Yeah, no
But
problem.
I work as a freelance visual effects artist, which is different from working for a company that does visual effects. So all the bigger companies that do visual effects, for example, The Mill. I have a friend that's working at the third floor. These
Mhm.
are companies that work on like Marvel productions. So, for example, the third floor worked on Thor, um, the most recent Thor movie, the one where everything's like very colorful.
Yeah.
That was the third floor, and my friend was doing the visual effects for that movie. Of course,
Okay.
I can't tell you who my friend is because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
no
part where
problem.
the NDA happens. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a very cool job. It's very demanding because like you have to be in front of the computer all the time, and like they're gonna track your monitor to see that you're always working.
Mhm.
I have a weak wrist. My wrist isn't very good, so that's why I've decided not to go and work in studios. I'm instead gonna work freelance, which is a lot harder. And so like in that case, I have to like reach out to production companies and tell them that if you need a freelance artist, then you can contact me.
Mhm.
And so what happens is So let's say, you have a studio. The studio is working on a movie. Let's say they're working on Thor.
Hmm.
So they have a deal with maybe one or two companies like ILM and Weta. And ILM and Weta are responsible for doing the visual effects. They're the visual effects provider for Thor.
Hmm.
But these movies are so big. There's just so many shots, hundreds of visual effects shots. And Weta and ILM are also working on other productions. Maybe they're working on King Kong. So then they'll subcontract to a smaller company,
Hmm.
and these smaller companies will then pick up the visual effects work that Weta and ILM can't do for a slightly lower cost because they're a smaller company, so they work on less projects. But
Okay.
then sometimes those guys get overwhelmed and it's too much work for them,
Hmm.
and then they'll subcontract it out to maybe like a freelance artist like me,
Hmm. Hmm.
in which case I'll take it and then I'll do the work for it and then I'll send it back to the smaller company. Smaller company eventually has to do quality control, send it to the bigger company, and then at some point the visual effects is done and it goes into the editing, which is back on the studio side.
So, like, if you are like working as an freelancer for for VFX, or even for a company who is doing the VFX, so like obviously like they will not yeah, they will not show your name in the credits. Like they will
They
obviously
will.
they will like claim their name as in like we have done the VFX for the movie. Is it like that?
No, your name will appear. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Also they will show.
yeah.
Okay, definitely. Yes.
So like
Mhm.
I've got so like I've got a friend named Gabe. Well, I can't say his whole name. I have a friend named Gabe,
Mhm.
and he has credits on a few of the Marvel movies because he works for a smaller VFX company, and
Mhm.
they've had work like subcontracted out to them.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
So like these are some of the mainstream professional streams, and like I don't know, but I haven't in India. I don't see much of the people like showing themselves as an VFX artist. There may be like in particularly like who are more involved in the Bollywood and they have achieved some prestige over there. But I really even within me in my college, I don't see like students are really pursuing it. So I don't know like
well,
I don't how you are working on placements because it's quite difficult for like as a freelancer and getting that those big gigs. So how you like working on placements? Like what's your
yeah.
strategy?
So I think the industry in America is different from the industry in India
Mm-hmm.
because when I was growing up, outsourcing was beginning to happen. A lot of the VFX companies were trying to find ways to outsource their work to India.
Mm-hmm.
So like I remember when I was in India, I visited a visual effects studio that was specializing in rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is just like making outlines of the characters. So if you shot a scene and there's three characters, but they want to change the background, and they did not use green screen, then you have to have somebody draw out the characters individually, so that each of the characters are separate from the background.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bunch of companies like that in India that do rotoscoping work, and they do really well with their rotoscoping. But it's very labor intensive. It's very difficult work to do, and I think that's beginning to change because I know Shah Rukh Khan has a visual effects company called, I think, Red Chili
Yeah,
VFX or
Red Chili,
something.
yeah. But
Yeah, and
it's
they do
I
really
don't
cool
know,
work.
it's more of a music level, I think, and even on radio. Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like all the Shah Rukh Khan movies, like there was that one movie where like they made him short.
Yeah,
That happened a
okay.
few. All that visual effects was by Red Chili because that's his VFX company that works on his films. So
Okay.
I think that it's beginning to change slowly because with streaming services and like there's a shift in Indian cinema where like a new style of cinema is coming out. So with that comes new opportunities for work. Out here, I haven't found too much visual effects work, partly because I'm so busy working, uh, live events, like the
Mhm.
game of Call of Duty thing that I did, and like working on film sets. I actually am so busy that I haven't had time to call people and tell them that I'm free.
Okay.
But that's something that I'm working on. That's my next steps. Yeah.
Okay. Then. So, so I was looking at your Instagram and I was looking some
Mm.
pics, and as you told, like you are also working, like you have been, so even you are your field towards sound engineering. So I was looking and there was a pic of Vital, you the plugin you use on Apple Studio.
Yeah,
So yeah, like actually I'm not a sound engineer, but yeah, I have some little bit knowledge of music theory and stuff. So I was very curious to like learn sound engineering stuff. So I was also trying to learn some of the things of Vital and how to import wave tables
yeah, yeah.
and move such and things. So uh, just like tell me like because I'm a musician and I want to like explore new sounds and
Yeah.
because I don't have any degree in sound engineering and even I don't have that much of knowledge. So for a person like as a beginner as me, how would you suggest that how I should learn some of the even some basic things like even I
Right,
would
right.
be able to like create a little bit of sound for my music. How I can learn all these things? Can you?
So, because I work in live events and I work with a lot of other people who also are involved in the music scene. I've
Mm-hmm,
worked with people that have set up events for like Beyonce. And so even the people that are just setting up equipment, all of them are musicians. They
mm-hmm,
all have three guitars. I don't know why they have three of them, but they do. And they all know their equipment really well. So I always listen in. I'm like, what are they talking about? And then they'll talk about like different kinds of guitars that they like, different kinds of equipment that they like. And once in a while I'll ask questions like, do you know about this? Tell me about it. How does that work? And so I'm in a slightly different position than most other musicians are in that, you know, I'm just constantly surrounded by different people so I can
mm-hmm.
ask questions to different people and learn new things. And I really like the Vital plugin because it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
So,
Yeah,
you just download it, you put it into your computer. You don't even need a audio workstation. Like
yeah, we do.
I have Fruity Loops, but you can use Vital by itself, which is great.
Mm-hmm,
And I think that the best way to learn how to do sound design is to think about it in terms of like if you're a musician and you only know how to play instruments, then
mm-hmm,
I would think about it this way: you buy a guitar, you play on the guitar, it sounds one way. Then you buy a different guitar and you play the same thing, and it sounds a little bit different.
mm-hmm.
And sound design is not complicated. It's really just giving yourself the opportunity to have different instruments. So like I can open up Vital and make it sound, kind of like a keyboard. And now I
Mm-hmm.
have a different kind of keyboard, different from the keyboard that I already have. Or I could change the sound in Vital and make it sound like a pad, which is just like a long stretched out sound. So
Hmm.
it's not like I'm making some crazy complicated effects. I'm just creating an instrument for a specific need. So if I'm working on a song and I need something in the background that's like long and just takes up space, then I'm trying to make a pad. I look online, YouTube, Vital pad tutorial, and then I watch and I try to learn how are they making these pads.
Hmm.
And so what I've started doing is, ever since Vital came out, I started experimenting, trying to find ways to make sounds that I've heard before. And then I made this Gumroad account. I think it's called Gumroad. And like I make presets and then I put them on Gumroad for free.
Okay.
So whenever I learn how to make a sound, I'm like, oh, I figured it out. And then I put it on there and then I write a description like this is what all the different controls do.
Hmm.
And then my thinking is if I can make all the basic sounds, then whenever I need a sound, I can go back to the preset, then change it so it's specific to the song. So
Okay.
that's what I've been thinking.
So even like for the recent song which I worked for like Recluse. So what happened? Like I was we were having an acoustic vibe to the song, and like Tane had prepared a like acoustic guitar on it, and he played very well on it. So what earlier we were thinking like we will like play, we will not add much of the new instrument, but then when we were like going forward towards the song, so we were having inspiration that there should be an electric guitar. And what happened like we didn't have any person who knew electric guitar to play it on.
Yeah.
So the thing is like I told him that you play it on acoustic guitar, and then I will try to like do
Yeah.
something, do some stuffs, and try to mimic it as close as to an electric guitar. So what happened, like, yeah, the way you just told me that you just watched a tutorial, and even I watched one tutorial how to convert an acoustic guitar to an electric guitar, and and in that tutorial he was using basic FL Studio plugins, basic
Yeah.
EQ and stuff, and it went very well, and we really achieved a very great sound. So the thing is, the question is, what you will prefer for your song? If you if you are creating a new song, do you want new sounds, or do you will more be focused towards as a musical way, like old, like mainstream instrumentation, and in that way, or you will try to like more focus over to add new sound, unique sounds which are not being heard. So as a musician, what's your more focus? Like, do you want it like, I have drums, I have guitar, I have bass guitar, and I have this and that? These are basic things. Or
Yeah.
do you want more focus or towards like, I have to like find new sounds and put it in my songs? So what's your flow in music?
So I've made this interesting realization. When I make music, there's a remix that I've finished recently, which I can't share because it's not released yet, because I did it for the. So in America, how it goes is like, if somebody like asks you to make a remix, they own the remix. You don't own the rights to the remix. So I have to wait for him to release it before I can share it to anybody, because it's technically his remix, even though I'm the one that made it.
So at least they will like show your name as he has worked on it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They'll show my name,
Yeah.
but I have to wait till he releases it, and I don't know when that's going to happen because it's part of a remix album. So he's waiting on other artists to finish the remixes. So what I did is I took his original song, and his song was it was like synth pop. So it sounds like pop music, but it's a lot of like 90s synth sounds to it. So rough description. So what I did is I took his original sound, and then I like edited the rhythm of it. I changed the rhythm. And I took his chords and I took out the synthetic synth sounds, and I replaced it with orchestra sounds. And then I took the orchestra sounds and I put it through a bunch of effects like reverb, distortion, whatever else. And then I made it really big and washed out so you couldn't tell what it was. And when I played it, and I played it to some friends to see what they thought of it, they described it as the synthesizer sound.
Okay.
And that's an interesting description, because it wasn't a synthesizer, it was an orchestra sound. It was like violins and stuff. But the moment somebody can't understand what they're listening to it, they call it electronic.
So electronic, yeah.
So, I don't think too hard about like what the source of the sound is, whether or not the sound is something that's mainstream or not mainstream, because by the time I'm done running it through my effects, nobody can tell what it is. Everybody thinks it's some synthesizer or something, even though half the time it's not a synthesizer. But that's my process. I like to take orchestra sounds and then run them through effects, and then by the time I'm done with it, you have a hard time telling that it came from an orchestra sample.
Okay. So so even like if I make you stand in a studio, and like you have two groups. On one side of the group, you have a drummer, an acoustic guitarist, a singer, and a bass guitarist. And on the other side, you have everything to create new sounds, like everything, and synthesizer, and all these like there are so many gadgets like oscillators and so many things, and you have all these things. On which field you will go? This way or that way?
Here's what I would do. I would record the bass guitar and the acoustic guitar and the singer, and then I'd take the recordings and go the other direction, and then do whatever I want with it. By the time I'm done with it, you won't be able to tell that there was a bass guitar or acoustic guitar or whatever in there. Yeah.
So like I can see where you're going. So even I don't have any musical like training, but yeah, I was like more inclined toward music, and I have a training in like percussion instrument. Like there is an traditional instrument we call it as mridanga. It's a percussion
Oh,
instrument, mridanga. It's like
yeah.
uh, it's like the the bass side. It's very large. It's
It's
very
like a
large.
dhol. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a dhol, but it's different. It generally belongs to like West Bengal,
I
and
see.
but so in that the bass side is very large, and the
Hmm.
treble side it's very small, and so the treble sound is very sharp. So in comparison to all the percussion instrument in India, it sounds very bassy and very sharp pitch in comparison. And
Hmm.
even that instrument is not made up of wood; it's made up of clay. It has a clay
Oh,
body.
okay.
So what
That's
they
cool.
so how they do, like they bake the sand, bake the sand, and they then just create the structure over it. So I have trained in that instrument. So what the thing is, like, as an like traditional music artist, we I grew up with not in the way in music, like I don't want to introduce new sounds, like particularly uh, even right now I'm
Hmm.
making trap music, as in like mainstream producers are
Yeah,
making.
yeah,
I'm also doing that. But the thing is, even when I'm making, I don't really feel that much of level satisfaction, because
yeah,
I am being like trained in that way, that I love to like use traditional sounds, and
yeah,
like in the way that the sound of the instrument itself.
yeah,
And
yeah.
even I know some of the someone or some of my friends who are learned in classical instrument, particularly in Western, they even don't like this way. They
I
really
see.
don't like. So
Yeah, yeah.
so the question rises, like, so today mainstream music producers are like they are going in this way only. So do what you will suggest to the or to those musicians or those artists who are learning in those ways, and do you like you will push them towards that, no, you should do in this way because whole society is doing in this way, all of the mainstream producers are doing this way. So will you push them towards that way, in that way, or you will not just say that okay, no problem? Because I think most of the people are now listening trap and all these digitized songs, because even Punjabi songs, like Punjabi
Yeah,
songs,
yeah, yeah.
earlier they don't use
They
all
didn't
these
have it.
things, but now every of
Yeah,
their song is all West trap music, and every drum kick, 808s, hard kick, 808s, and all these things are there. So what do you think? Don't you think it's like minimizing the classic instrument, and like
so
pushing all these things more?
it's a multi-step question because there's a lot of difficult things to talk about. I think um, so. I'm not in India. I haven't been in India in a decade,
Mhm.
but I like to follow some of the YouTube channels like T Series. Think maybe Z Music or something. I follow a couple of the major music labels just to see what's going on, just to keep up with the musical trends. And I've also noticed, yeah, like it used to be a lot of like traditional instruments, and I really like that sound.
Mhm.
To me, it's like the Bollywood sound almost. I
Yeah,
know it's
yeah.
not limited to Bollywood, but
Mhm.
now suddenly there's so much synthesizers everywhere,
Mhm.
and to a degree, it feels like it's a cheaper sound, in that I can hear that there's less number of years of mastery in order to get that finished song made.
Mhm.
But then it's not that simple because like you have to decide for what purpose you're making music.
Mhm.
So like I have a friend that I'm here in LA. I have a friend who has hired me to arrange and produce a song of his. He's already written out the lyrics and he already knows what the vocals are. I'm working on like producing the arrangement for him, the background.
Mhm.
And it's been very difficult because he refers to things in like, I wanted to sound like pop music, but not too pop music. I wanted it to feel like indie pop, but I don't want some synthesizer sounds, and I want some like sound effects for drums, but I don't want it to be anything too bold. I,
Mhm.
you know, and I was just like, I don't know what any of these mean. Like, what is pop music? What is indie
Yeah,
pop music?
yeah.
Like, you know, like when I say pop music, the genre is so wide. You could do
Mm-hmm.
so many things in the world of popular music. Same with indie popular music. And I think that in India that exists too. The difference is like who is your audience that you're trying to make music for and what is it that they want
Mm-hmm.
very specifically. So like instead of thinking of it as like I want to make pop music, it's better to think of it like I want to make a song that sounds like this very specific song that I've heard before,
Mm-hmm.
because the people that listen to this song are the people that I want to uh, communicate with. These are the
Mm-hmm.
people that I want to reach. And I bet that if you know, looked around in the music scene in India, there are still people that are currently producing music that are hitting the audience that you want to hit. So the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
step, you have to find you have to find the artists that are already communicating with the people that you want to communicate with,
Mm-hmm.
and see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, music is about expression. So you listen to what they're doing, and then you say, how would I communicate to that audience?
Okay.
Because my perspective is different from their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you've done all of that research, you already figured out what your song is going to be.
Okay.
Um, in terms of like this, you know, increasing trend of minimizing classical music sounds and like going towards synthetic sounds, I think it's something that's been happening for a long time now, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like I think classical music will always be around in some form or another.
Particularly
Um,
in terms of particularly music theory cannot be changed. Yeah. Yes.
yeah. Do you know the artist Karsh Kale?
No, I don't. I don't.
That's fine. He's a tabla player. He's world renowned for his tabla skills because he's very very skilled on the tabla. But I think in the 90s and early 2000s, he's also in America some of the time. He released this like really experimental album where he plays the tabla and then he
Mhm.
records it and then he mixes in like electronic music with the tabla playing at the same time. So like you can hear the rhythms, but it doesn't feel like the tabla.
Mhm.
It's just a strange and interesting combination of sounds. And you know, that to me is like somebody who's classically trained, who's very skilled, who is bringing the traditional, you know, skills into modern music production. That was cool.
Yeah, that is something fascinating. So, yeah, I understand what you are trying to say, but like for me, even what should I say? How should I put it? Like because I was not trained in that way, like particularly how to synthesize some sounds. Yeah, maybe it's just for like every producer has different opinion and different interest towards music, creation of music, and it's something like more to be like subjective. Every producer have a different thinking towards how music should be presented. So it's some. I have a small philosophical question. Maybe I should
Sure.
ask because artists are like philosophers. So a small philosophical question. So what do you think? What is the purpose of music? What do you think?
Hmm. I've been thinking about this recently. So like, um, okay, so my, you know, I work in music. My
Hmm,
girlfriend does not work in music, but she likes listening to music while she's working.
hmm,
And then, you know, once in a while she'll ask me questions like, "Is this song good?" And my answer is usually, "Yeah, it's fine," because I think that's such a vague question. I don't know what it means for music to be good or bad. But when I listen to music, I'll listen through like, you know, T series music or whatever, and if I find a specific artist that I like or a specific movie that I like the soundtrack of, I
hmm,
listen to their entire discography. With discography meaning like everything that they've ever made that I can easily find. I will listen to the entire thing.
hmm,
And the purpose of that is so that I can hear their musical journey. Like where did they start? And how is it that they got from where they were back then to where they are now? And what do I like about where they started and where they ended up?
hmm,
And um, the process of doing that has taught me many things. So like there's this artist named Barry White in America. He's from the 70s, and he's really known for his big bassy voice. and he sings like funk music, but like he has this huge orchestra that's playing with him at the same time.
Okay.
And he's made hundreds and hundreds of songs. And at some point, I realized he's just making the same song over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this song is almost the same thing as this other song. The only difference is that the words are a little bit different, and the chords are a little bit different. But the feeling is the exact same. The length is pretty much the same. The band is pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really about creating something new. From as I see it, music is about announcing the feelings that you already have.
Okay.
So, when somebody says like, "Oh, that music isn't original. It sounds like it sounds generic," or somebody else says, "Oh, like this music doesn't speak to me because it feels like everybody's listening to that. That's not what I listen to."
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's kind of strange because, like, the act of performing music and producing this music and listening to music is just recognizing and being aware of the emotional state you are in and the emotional state you want to be in, and that's it. There's nothing more to music.
Okay. So that's quite interesting. So if you see, like, if you let me just go in much small little deeper. I will not take much of the time. I think maybe you are like a little busy and just moving towards
No.
your work. Okay, so
Whatever you want to do.
like we can continue like 15-20 minutes more if
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no.
Sure.
So like if you like see the history in terms of cultural history or in terms of arts, I'm more focused on towards India because I'm brought up in this way and I've learned in this way. Maybe I'm just asking, not that I want to enforce something upon you, just digging out something. What do you think and what's your perspective as you are as the way you are brought up in there? So just like opinion about it. So if you read like some of the scriptures, like the old scriptures, so in one of the scriptures, in like Indian traditional scriptures, there is a verse which says like particularly in terms that that the God is living, that the God is the place where God lives. At that place, everything which has been spoken is a song, and every step is a dance. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
There is a verse in like it's in there is a book called Brahm Samhita. So in that there is a verse. It said that at the spiritual word, every word which is spoken is a song, and every step is a dance. And even like we see like Sufism, you know about something about Sufi saints. There are so many Sufi saints, so they have sing so many songs. Like they are very philosophical songs, and they are sung in a very melodious way. And there are so many things. Like particularly, we see the how arts and the culture and the music has been transformed from now to then. Like from earlier stage, which was that, and from now, like it's like difference between earth and the sky. How? Because earlier the purpose of the song and the music was to give to present a very deep give up the deep meaning to the life, or to give a purpose to the life, or have a understanding of consciousness, you can say. Yeah, what is conscious? And so these types of meaning are like morality. Some of the songs talk about morality. Some of the songs talk about the purpose of life. What is the purpose of life, and how we are wasting a human form of life in this way. Yeah, the songs yes has been sung, and I know various Christian saints are also there. So there are so many poems that they have written. Yeah. So the thing is, arts, the how music was developed. Yeah, I should not say the word developed because it should be something invented. It should be present already. So how artists used to use this skill or this talent to give this meaning, to present this meaning to the audience, and now artists are more focusing on presenting the meaning to the audience. So there is a drastic difference, and this drastic difference, I think, this drastic difference is just because we are now more involved in we are involving profit loss statements in our art and
Yeah.
doing it more as a business. It's my feel, and but in this way, I think that artists are more binder. Artists are not free. Like if there are, I remember like I used to hear so many rock songs, particularly you remember like there was a hippie movement in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, and particularly in 1970s when there was like Vietnam War
Yeah. Yeah.
was going on, and all of a sudden like all the youth started moving against the mainstream society, and so many rock bands were beginning up. Like Beatles were on that time only, and so many, and those rock bands have very different meaning, different perspective. So these things happen. So the thing is like art, when you involve money and profit and you are seeing your art in this way, you are more binder because you have to make those things which people like. So don't you think the artists who are making music now are not independent as earlier?
Mm.
That's why I'm doing this independent podcast, independent artist work. So
Yeah, that's fair.
don't you feel like that?
I think. Um, Let me think. Okay, so here's what I think.
Hmm.
I think that, every time a new generation comes up, all the older people are like, this new generation is they don't have it. I don't know. Our generation was so good, we had all these incredible artists and like things were happening, musical innovation, and now this is the future. It doesn't sound that good. But at the same time, I think that the level of quality, the incredible skills and the musical performance, that never changes. You could look at it now, you could look at 1,000 years before. The ability to convey a feeling to another person has never changed.
Yeah.
The only thing that has changed is how we perceive it and what we want out of our music. So like, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, there was more focus on like chords and like good chord progressions and like, interesting vocal lines. And now that we're in the, 2000s to 2020s, the focus is less on those things and the focus is more on something that is catchy, and the focus is on the texture of the sound, making a sound that's memorable and specific, so that even if you hear 1 second of it, you know what that song is. That doesn't necessarily mean that the music is good or bad or worse or better. It just means that the goals of the music has changed. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I understand this thing, but my question was more towards like you can create music, like you can create background score on films, you can create all those things, but
Yeah.
if I talk about particularly in terms of song, so song has two parts. It has the music and it has the lyrics. It has two parts. So I was even I think even I should add sounds also, because like I had one friend and he was fan of A. Rahman, and
I like A. Rahman.
I have like that friend, he was such a big fan because he used to have his cassettes from cassettes, that tape cassettes. He has a stockpile of those cassettes and he used to listen A. Rahman, and he used to say that this guy has something spiritual in his songs. He used to say, and now what he's saying that my A. Rahman has changed. He has now changed. Even it's not just about the lyrics. Yeah, people can say the lyrics are poor. They are talking about all the same shit. It's the same thing. But the thing is, even in terms of sound, I think some of the audience, like just my friend, he has seen A. Rahman building up. He has seen how it used to be so grand and orchestral and all these things, so grand in everything. And now, I should not say it's bad. Yeah, it's not bad. He's making good songs right now also. But the older, like the older audience, they don't like, and they see that he has They are saying in that way. They are not saying that he is making mad music. They are saying that he has decreased the value of his music, because they used to feel that it is that he is creating some music that is that transcends something. That you
Yeah, yeah,
listen to some music and you feel, yes, you understand what I'm trying to say. As
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so I'm speaking in that way also. It's just not about lyrics or the song. Even
yeah.
it's just not about the lyrics. The sound also makes the difference. So what do you think? Like, do you think it should be changed? Like, there should be, like, the artist should become more free and they don't just focus on making attract the audience, and more focus on presenting their art more creatively. What do you think?
Hmm.
So, what's your opinion?
So this might not be the answer you're looking for. In my opinion,
No, there is no problem. It's your opinion. Like, it's not a problem.
value is defined by the audience and not by the artist. So, like, I could spend hundreds of hours, I could spend an entire year on one song, and I could send it out to the world, and nobody could listen to it, and nobody would like it. And you know what? That's their choice.
Uh-huh.
Or I could spend 10 minutes on one song, and it blows up on TikTok or social media,
Uh-huh.
and everybody loves it. And like on a societal level, the value of that song is based on the society. It's not based on the artist. But at the same time, the other side of that coin is I make music for myself. I'm making music also to make money. I'm making music for a friend of mine's podcast. And like, I do things for financial value because I need to be able to eat and pay rent. But I also make music for myself. So if I want to make music for myself and I spend an entire year on one song and nobody listens to it, it doesn't matter to me, because I wanted to spend a year on one song and I did it, and I'm happy that I did it. So I think if A.R. Rahman wanted to do big orchestral sounds, I'm sure he could call up all of his old friends, be like, hey, I think I want to do another song like Tal again. And they would do it, and it would sound fantastic. But it's just not what he wants to do. And that's the important part. Like, what is it that you want to do? It doesn't matter if the audience cares or not cares. Like, if they wanted to listen to something like Tal or one of his older movies, they'll go back and listen to that, or they'll find another artist who wants to do that right now. But right now, that's not what A.R. Rahman is doing. A.R. Rahman is making his independent movie that's coming out soon, and that's where he's at in his life. I think that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. So tell me one thing. Artists, what do you think artists should think about? He should think in this way, that his art should be remembered, or the artist should be remembered by the audience. What do you think?
I think neither.
Neither.
I think legacy means nothing. It doesn't matter if anybody remembers anything you did, because ultimately you're doing it for yourself. So as long as you're happy with what you did, it doesn't matter. People could forget it the day after you're dead, and it doesn't matter because you're not there either. You're also gone. As long as you're happy, it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. It's something like living with art. It's something like you living with what you create, and it's even like if you create something, you have attachment to what you have created. Just like when you have a like mother has, even the child is born, mother has natural affection towards his baby, and similarly artists have natural affection towards his. Okay, yeah.
So
that's
here's the interesting thing. Like when you look at old like Chinese paintings, they're done on silk, and when you look at them today, they're all very brown and the colors are very muted, and that is our perspective of old Chinese art that's made on silk.
Yeah.
But if you look into it, you realize that the silk was originally white and the colors were a lot more vibrant. And it's that, when it was first created, what the art that they were consuming is different from the art that we're consuming now. So my perspective of older Chinese art, like, is completely different from the art as it was originally intended to be made. So in my opinion, the art part of something only happens in the present. So my present perspective of seeing art for the first time is the part that we call art. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
not actively looking at it, if your audience isn't actively looking at it,
Mm.
it's just something that got made that's, forgotten.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's kind of hard to describe, but yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. And it's interesting, like, I know some of the artists, for them, they want that the artist should be remembered, and you have a different opinion to this. Like, you like some said your art should be remembered, not the artist. It doesn't matter. Your art is remembered. That's the main thing. But for you, like, it's a very different thing. Yeah, it's great. It's a great. Yeah.
It's a more difficult and inconvenient opinion.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, you really want to show. You really
Yeah.
want to show things. Yeah. So, so any a last thing, just to like brief up all these things. Like, do you want to tell something special for new artists, particularly in the artists who are working in your fields? So, do you want to tell do you want to tell something inspiring to those artists? You can say.
I think that everything is in the present. So if there's something that you want to do and you feel like you can't do it because you're working too much or you don't feel motivated or any of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to let them know that it doesn't matter because you're in the present. You don't live in the future and you don't live in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to do something and you don't have the time or don't have the motivation to do it right now, then right now you need to start figuring out what it is that you can do so that you can make the art and you can feel better about your circumstances. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's really inspiring. That you have, I think you have heard that dialogue, Hong Kong Pupanda. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is
Oh yeah.
history, today is a
Today
gift.
is yeah,
That's why
so
you
it's
call
called
it
present.
present. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
iconic. That's iconic. And really, it's good. It's yes, you are living in the present, and you have to understand in which situation you are, and you have to figure it out. And this way you can. So thank you, Vishesh, for really, it's immense. I am feeling like even I don't want to wrap up this podcast, but for me it's night and it's
Yeah.
for me and for you, like you have to start your work, and for audience also, they're like they would be like better that we are talking and talking and so many things. But I think like this discussion would be like so helpful, like for new artists, and they will also like see what's the difference in particularly in West and here, and they will also be inspired that how you have just taken your career up, and they will be also inspired to like take that risk in that the same way you are taking. So thank you very much. Like, it's an honor. Like, I don't know how you just accepted my proposal because you don't know me in that way. But it's thank you really that you have given me this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. This is very interesting. I don't know you, but at the same time, like I'm open to new experiences. And this is my first time being on a podcast. It was very cool. I really liked it.
So this is Independent Artist Podcast with Vishesh. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much.